Zurich Modular 2018. I'm here with Therminal C.
Hello.
And with Coralie. And she played an amazing set today in the afternoon. And she's played a very unique instrument with the modular. So it's the Theremin, which is not very common or most used by many musicians. So how do you use it, and can you give us a little overview of this?
Yeah, I'm mostly, my main instrument is the theremin, and the theremin is like an old synthesizer. It's almost 100 years old now, and you have basically two antennas, one to control the pitch, so the frequency, and one to control the volume. So it's just a simple oscillator, sine waves, and I can modulate it. And the thing, what I like to do is to add something to that. So I just take the signals of the two antennas via CV, and I send this CV into the modular synth, which means with this I can have like a playback, and I can have a backup. I can trigger samples, I can trigger sounds, and I can trigger sounds at different distance. And I can also, for instance, maybe transpose a sequencer while playing my theremin. At the same time, I do the movement and I do the voice, like the melody. And at the same time, I control the synthesizer.
I'm always asking myself, or how long do you need to learn a theremin?
Yeah, that's a good question and complicated, because I think it depends on your musical background. I've heard some people that are musicians, like maybe violinists, they learn very quickly in a few months. And if you have no musical backgrounds, then it might be a bit hard, because it's really like about tiny movements. Like only my body, if I move a little bit, it will change the sound and the pitch. So you have to be really aware of your body and to have a good ear. Actually, if you don't have a good ear, you think you're in tune and you learn very quickly because you think it's fine. But if you hear yourself clearly, then to be really in tune, you have to be concentrated and focus. And if you have no musical background, it's just a matter of practice. So some people are good at having a routine and practice every day, and then they learn more quickly. And some others it takes.
And why do you think it's so uncommon used by musicians, or is it too special? Is it too?
I think maybe it's very sensitive, and it's very almost human, and it changes. I mean, the tones changes. Like I wouldn't be able to play now because you're standing too close to me. You're interfering with me. So it means if you want to play the theremin, you have to play in a stage where there's not so many people around you moving. And you have to pay attention to the temperature, to the humidity, because you have to adjust your theremin to so many parameters. So it makes it very unstable, and it's maybe a bit harder to control. And to play a simple melody and to be sure to be in tune, then you need some practice. So some people just don't bother and just take a regular synth.
And so it's also not an instrument for nervous people. You need to be very relaxed and concentrated.
Yeah, of course, it's better. If you're nervous, well, you will hear your nervousness in your sound. So of course, it's almost a meditation instrument, because you have to focus on yourself, let go. And of course, when you play live, sometimes it can be tricky.
But the theremin is not only the only instrument you're using, but you have also the Eurorack system.
Yes.
And you use it more as effect processor, or
it's more as accompaniment. Yeah, it's more like backing voices. I can have second voice to my theremin. I can have sample triggers. I can have a sequencer that is turning, and then I just transpose it with my theremin. So it's like my backing tracks. It's like my band.
And then I see a Volca sample. So for samples, yeah, sure.
Yeah. I can I have somebody from a Swiss company called Waveleaker who just built for me these modules called Terminator, and it's just actually what it does. It just converts the CV signal of my antenna into different gates or trig, and I can adjust the level of the gates and trig and record. So which means I can have one sound triggering here, and I can have another one triggered here, and this is all controlled by these modules. So how I usually use a sample, Volca sample, is I record a sound on every step, and every time I make a movement, then it advanced one step and triggers another sound. It can be a note or it can be just a sample.
And then also a second little rack and also pedals.
Yeah, little rack is just because this is too small and you always want more modules and you're like, oh, okay. So it's like add more modules. And the pedals, it's just more reverb. Of course, loop stations so that I can loop maybe some noises from the Eurorack. And I have the same for the Theremin. I also have a little looper here, so I can loop some noise on my Theremin. And I have some reverb, delays, and also that adds some other notes, so I can play chord with my Theremin. And these two other pedals are actually just a tuner pedal, and I use them to cut the signal, the CV signal of my Theremin on and off.
Okay.
Because otherwise it's just the CV all the time. And for instance, if I use it for transposing a sequence on my sequencer, sometimes I don't want to transpose it, and sometimes I just want to transpose it on a precise timing. So I have to be able to cut on and off the CV signal. And the best way I've found is with my foot, because my hands are taking with the Theremin playing.
And this secret red thing is? You have...
this?
Yes.
I don't know how to call this in English. It's in French it's a manche-disque. So it's to put just some vinyls, little vinyls. I had this when I was a child. And what I like doing is I have my brother who can print vinyls, so I can record my voice, put into this.
And get a special character to it.
Yeah, and then process it also into the synthesizer, into the modular synths. And what I do is I freeze the audio signal with my Theremin off my vinyl. Yeah. So and I can also modulate the pitch of my voice with the Theremin from the vinyl.
A vintage sample player.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think it got a gritty sound, a bit more.
Yeah, you have some kind of a sound to it. Of course, it's vinyl, it's old, and there is something into it. And I also like to have something physical to put in it, and there's definitely some special sound to it.
Okay. To conclude, where you can find your music? Do you have Bandcamp, SoundCloud, Facebook?
I have everything you mentioned: Instagram, Facebook, Bandcamp, SoundCloud, and have my website, either terminalc.com or my real name, coralieehinger.ch. But if you Google Theremin and synthesizer, I guess you'll find it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.